Hey guys, welcome to me. Hey guys, welcome to our first product review. Today we are not looking at the Lego Stormtrooper helmet, but instead we are looking at the Aquaclear filter. It's upside down. Is that in French? Yes, it is. Most of you guys, I'm guessing, are not French. This is the Aquaclear. This is actually the original Aquaclear, at least the box. However, we're going to generalize this review to the current Fluval Aquaclears as well as the old Aquaclears because they've not changed at all. This review is also going to generalize to all the different sizes of Aquaclears as they are all pretty much the same. So to get started, we're going to do a general overview of the Aquaclear, followed by the issues that I've found with it, keeping a couple of the sizes, and then we're going to go on to the solutions to these issues, and finally, if this filter is right for your aquarium. So I'll start by saying this is an overall great filter. Probably one of the best hang-on backs that I've ever had. I haven't had too many hang-on backs, but this has been a really good experience for me for the most part. We're going to go into some of the bad things later on. But first of all, with the tube still off, it just kind of gets in the way, so I'll be leaving it off for this review. As you guys can see, very nice design. It's not meant to be seen. It's supposed to be seen through. It's supposed to be in the background of your aquarium. And clear, maybe even more than black, makes that really easy. Starting from top to bottom, you can see that there's this nice lid on here with the old logo, the Aquaclear 200. I'm not sure what it's like on the new ones, but I imagine it's very similar. And once we get past that, we have the internals. Now I will mention that there is the ability to change the power on the Aquaclear, and that is basically done by just flipping this one way or the other. Now, first difficulty is right here, and we'll delve right into it, and that is this gets very sticky. You can see that it wobbles the entire thing when I try and move it back and forth, so this really is a thumb and finger operation. You can't get away with just doing this with your index finger. It's going to take a little more work than that. Sticking with the intake and some of the things regarding that, this whole thing we can just take off. It is, once again, it's a little sticky. It just kind of wedges in there where my thumb is. But once we have that out, with great difficulty, we are able to clean that out. So any of your cleaning tools, you'll have a nice, easy time of removing the dirt from there. I used to clean mine about once a month, and it stayed in good shape. Looking down in here, we have the propeller or impeller, forgotten the name of it, and you can remove this whole piece. It's a little tricky to do with the filter box in right now, but you can remove that for easy cleaning. This does jam up from time to time, but that can be easily fixed actually by shoving your finger down into it and just giving it a little push. Don't worry about losing your finger, as I have joked in previous videos, because it's all just plastic and there's really no sharp edges to it. This motor is on the outside. This is going to be hanging out behind the back of your aquarium, which makes it a little more loud. I found it to be a little louder than the top fin hang-on back filter, but all in all, it's not too bad. The loudest thing, in fact, really comes with the lid of this filter. You'll find that because it's put on the way it is, and it really hasn't been improved with Fluval buying the product, it will rise up a little bit, and we'll get into some later issues with that, but it will rise up a little bit and make sort of a vibration sound that goes through your house. It's a little bit annoying, but as you guys have probably seen in other videos and with other people who have this aquarium, really easy to fix just by tapping it down. Lastly, on the note of the intake tube, you do have these extensions which you just attach to the bottom. They are pretty universal. I think they do go up in size once you get to the 70 gallon rated hang-on back filter for this series, although they all look pretty much the same. Finally, moving on to the main event, we have our filter box. Now, the greatest thing about the Aquaclear is that the filter box is very, very large. You can see It's probably 2 inches front to back, even on this 50-gallon rated one, which is much bigger than the filter inserts that you would see on the top fin hang-on back filters. And with more space, you get more media options. So you have this little basket, and that just folds away, very light, easy to use, and we are left with these 3 types of media. Now, I believe that with the smaller versions, with the 20-gallon and anything underneath the 50-gallon, you will only get 2 options, and those are the foam insert and the carbon. Now, the foam is what most filters use. Carbon is also pretty common, but foam is what's going to house your beneficial bacteria that's going to get rid of the ammonia and the nitrate. And as you can see, it can be a little place for some snails to live if you have small snails that are in your aquarium. This one looks like it's evacuated the shell, but well, that's just how it goes sometimes. You can also see that we have our carbon bag, nice carbon bag. You can see mine has been pretty well used. It's absorbed a lot of impurities from the water, but it's still looking pretty good, and I think we'll be able to sell this later on. Of course, I will mention that the carbon is used for getting rid of impurities. Those can be tannins, that's just general cloudiness in the water, biological debris, and so on. Just like the other 2, our ammonia remover is going to be a great place to house bacteria living on every little surface inside of it, but this is specifically going to be for removing ammonia, as the name suggests, and I believe this is exclusive to the 50-gallon rated Aquaclears and up. Now that we've completely demolished the Aquaclear, we need to demolish it emotionally, and that includes going through the issues. Now, as we talked about, the first issue is it is externally motorized, which does make it a little bit louder, and they try to counter this by keeping the motor itself away from the glass, using this little bendy thing that you can break at a certain point to keep it away from the glass and keep it stable, which is another issue that we'll go through in a second, but the problem is it doesn't really work all that well. You can see once it's bent to an angle, it will always be bent like that, and you cannot readjust it later on. And the problem that I've had recently, if you guys have watched recent videos, is that when the Aquaclear is not stable, when it's not level with the aquarium, and it's on an angle, like it was like this on my 40-gallon, the water will rise up after the, say, ammonia bag gets full of debris, and it will crest over the edge and into the back of your aquarium and onto the table, and it really makes a mess. And this is made even easier when the lid is just slightly open and actually is able to carry that water over the edge a little easier. The solution to this issue is a difficult one. You see, if you keep the lid off so that it doesn't bring the water over, you do risk a lot of evaporation. And that is what you're trying to avoid when you put a lid on your aquarium, but this is going to make it a little more difficult. So the only other way that you can fix this is by using something that does not come with the Aquaclear, and that could be just a piece of foam beside the aquarium to keep it up, and a careful eye. Another problem that I find with this filter is obviously it's a hang-on back, and like most hang-on backs, the water is going to be cresting over in a waterfall, like you can see in this video clip. Now that is great in a lot of aquariums, but in some aquariums it's really troublesome because the power of the waterfall can uproot plants, it can also submerge floating plants. It's not good aeration when it's going from the short side of the aquarium, and sometimes the aquariums that you may have at home will not allow you to put it on the end of the aquarium. And just generally, the filter looks better, when it's out of sight. One possibility of fixing this problem is that you make the water's surface level with this little edge here. However, that's not always possible. My aquarium, for example, does not allow me to raise the water level up to that edge, and so I could not stop it from being a crashing waterfall all the time. Not to mention that adjuster that we talked about on the side, it doesn't let you adjust the water flow very much, so you're going to be getting heavy flow most of the time. However, when it comes to floating plants, there is still a way that you can keep them from getting sucked under. This is just a piece of PVC tubing that I was using for my sponge filter, something that we'll review in a later video. And I used this to keep the floating plants from being sucked under. Now all I did is I put it against the intake tube, and I have another hang-on back filter at the time, so I just connected it to the other intake tube, and that kept the floating plants from going near the waterfall. Now if you're not using two hang-on back filters, like most people are not, then what you can do is you can put it around your heater, you can put it on the edge of the aquarium, anything like that. You do have to get a little creative with this filter. The last issue is one that many hang-on back filters also have, similar to the waterfall problem, and that is the intake problem. If you have fish fry, you have guppies, and you're trying to breed them, this is going to be a real problem because these holes are easily able to suck up guppy fry, especially on the larger versions. And aside from possibly a spare intake tube to make it a little deeper, there's nothing that the Aquaclear does with its kit to keep fry from getting sucked up. One possible option is finding an intake guard, such as this, but the problem is with them, they clog up very easily. And so while this does fix the problem, it will require a little more work on your part. So the question arises, is this filter good for your aquarium? If you have few plants, yes, pretty much instantly I would recommend this Aquaclear for you because it does cause problems with the plants, and with those out of the way, especially with bigger fish because it has more room for biomedia, this will be a great filter for you. Being relatively quiet, this is also a good filter to keep in a communal area. It's very silent in my kitchen, or it was while I was using it, and a lot of hard water on there. And I had no problems with it whatsoever. I did have some problems with the 20 and 30 gallon rated, or whatever the smaller versions are, on my 10 gallon in my bedroom, but that does really require a filter to be quiet, very quiet in your bedroom. Now, aside from it being a possible problem with plants and fish fry, this filter does also pose a price problem. This filter comes in, the 50 gallon filter comes in at around $50, depending on where you live. So it's definitely not going to be a filter that you want on every aquarium. If you have a lot of aquariums, even though it does do a good job, you might find yourself racking up the price rather quickly. If you have multiple aquariums, it might be just better to get one big air pump and a lot of sponge filters. In conclusion, this has been my product review of the Aquaclear 50. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you found some good insights, and you know better whether or not you should pick up an Aquaclear for yourself. And I will see you guys next Sunday.